Oh yeah, it's story time. Give me a second. Oh no. No, no, no. Not no. Ladies and gentlemen, so on another page where I'm allowed to go live, right? Specifically, Bossman JC winning. And of course I'm gonna use the clippings and drop them right here on this page for you to see. So until I do that, obviously, there's a lot for us to cover. What I was doing, and I will report. We were doing a reaction to Death Note, Another Note, the Los Angeles BB murder cases, complete audiobook, as narrated by light novel, dramatic reading. I believe he deserves 471,000 subscribers, not 471. Me not like that. But I like the number there. Anyway, where was I? So, where was I? So we were revisiting the LABB murder cases. We were. And there's something they said about Shinigami eyes. How did he come by them? I have a working theory. Now, at first, I thought about this. Maybe his father might have been a Death Note user, impregnated his mother, passed on the Shinigami eyes because he made a deal, and of course, as a result, congenially, he contracted the inherited trait of having Shinigami eyes. At least that's what I thought. Except for one detail that makes that particular theory, that theory gets shot dead in the water. But why? Why? See, the theory doesn't hold up because if you remember, Misa Misa was able to look at Light Yagami and identify that he was in fact Kira. Why? Because when she looked for his death day, it was absent, indicating that he's a Death Note user. If his parents were Death Note users, he couldn't have seen the death day of his father and the death day of his mother. So the question is, why was he able to? And how did he get the eyes? So bear with me now. You remember that rule? Remember when the new Kira tried to sell the Death Note to the highest bidder? And then the Shinigami King called Ryuka and said, look, tell the seller and the buyer that both of them will die if they engage in that transaction. So he goes to the president after being shunned by Nomura, and he never tell Nomura, and then he write down Nomura name in the Death Note, thus killing him. Yeah. And to show you, he didn't write anybody's name after Light Yagami. He must have been heartbroken. Anyway, wrote down Light Yagami's name and then Nomura's name. Cool? That was a new rule. It is quite possible that a lot of the rules that are in the Death Note happen as an afterthought. Now, if that is true, it must mean that that rule that states Shinigami are forbidden from having intercourse with each other, they're also forbidden from having relations with human beings. I get the feeling that a Shinigami violated this rule, possessed a human to take over his body, got his lady pregnant, and thus you end up with BB waking up, being born with those eyes. So, if that's true, then by the time Ryuka or whoever comes down and claims that particular Shinigami, brings him back to the realm, who knows? Maybe the Shinigami probably saw the relationship going to hell, and he decided to possess the man's body and fix the relationship and say, oh, probably. Who knows? Anyway, now that he's no longer under the possession of that Shinigami, that Shinigami goes off and gets punished by the Shinigami King. Meanwhile, the man and the lady are there, and the boy is born with the ability to see when his parents are gonna die. Then they eventually die, thus leaving him at the mercy of the system, who eventually give him up for adoption over to Wami's house. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my theory. That is my theory on how Beyond Birthday, or Ryu Ryuzaki, whatever you want to call him, I get the feeling that's how congenially he ended up being born with Shinigami eyes. Please let me know if this holds up, because honestly, I have no other earthly explanation